Hi, Empowa community. So, we're back with some of the Q60 videos, and as some of you may be following our social channels would see, we recently announced a partnership with Textile Credit, who are a EVM compatible credit marketplace. And I'm sure for some of you, this kicked off the question of how do all these different entities, Textile, NSE, the DFIs, the pension funds, how do they fit into our tokenomics and into our flow of capital, and what does it mean for token holders, and why are we speaking to so many different entities? So the diagram you see in front of you is a diagram of how the flow of capital moves throughout the Empowa ecosystem. There's a more detailed video that will break this all down under our tokenomics page on empowa.io, and we'll also be sharing on our social channels. But for today, I'd like to just focus on the different examples of sources of capital, how they feed into the investor part, and what that means for the EMP token. So, as we've discussed at length, our primary focus at this stage is to continue to raise capital from investors to circulate through the Empowa platform, allowing us to provide loans to developers who in turn use that capital to provide the rent-to-own facility for families. Those families then get access to their homes, return the capital to the developer, who returns the capital to the Empowa platform, and we pay out the people who funded this whole initiative and made it a reality. Of course, raising capital from investors is a complex task, challenging, has been challenging for years now with the nature of how capital markets have been structured, but we're continuing to talk and investigate and explore different ways of raising capital. So of course, there's the more traditional sources that we always speak to, local pension funds, government-backed DFIs. Of course, many of you would have heard about the NSE project, and that's going ahead, and we've already kind of confirmed a pilot, and we'll be announcing more details about that separately. But partnerships like that with the NSE really are just funnels or sources for capital to start this journey. The partnership with the NSE gives us a Kenyan-based regulated product that we can take to the market that makes raising money from multiple sources far easier, gives them the confidence of a regulated entity. It gives them the certainty of partnering with the NSE, and all that happens when we raise funding from the source is that capital then enters into this flow, so it enters into the system. It's not a new bubble, it's not a new challenge, it's just an example of it's just really expanding on when we just used the term investor to give you a sense on who those investors were. Similarly with Textile Credit. They have a platform launched focused on EVM chains, primarily Celo and Base for now, and allow institutional investors and retail investors to provide capital to real world projects, earning a rate, having all of that data captured on chain, tokenizing that investment, ensuring that there's liquidity, all of the benefits that any investor into this journey would want to see. So Textile is yet another organization that will be feeding capital into this flow. And to be honest with you, the plan is to continue to grow out the number of these dark blue bubbles. The more of these we have, the more capital that flows into the system, the more developers we can support, the more families we can impact. So, expect to see over the course of this year many different initiatives like this. Some will be very successful, some will be less successful, and some we may have to stop because we realize it's not the amount of time and investment needed isn't warranted based on the amount of capital they can raise. But this is the journey that we're going on. In some cases, we'll be using technology that we've built. So in the example of the NSE, obviously we've built the platform for them. For DFIs and for pension funds, they might also be leveraging tech that we've built to facilitate this. But in other cases, like with Textile, they have their own marketplaces, they have their own tokenization platforms, they have their own smart contracts, etc. And that's fine. That's great. That saves us a lot of time and effort. It allows us to expand our reach, and it allows us to benefit from the things like tokenization, like liquidity pools, like all of those advantages that we know add value to investors without having to build it ourselves. Of course, most of our technology is built on Cardano, or all of it's built on Cardano, so being able to leverage the infrastructure that Textile has built, in the base chain means that immediately we can flip the switch and base investors can provide their USDC can still benefit from tokenization, can still benefit from liquidity, etc. There's going to be more details about this partnership coming out from about the 3rd of Feb with an opportunity to participate. That will allow you as an individual to be able to contribute in dollars and earn a return in dollars. But more on that later. Just to end off, let me explain how this all feeds in. So obviously as the capital goes in as an investor, we know that the more funds that flow as an investor from the investor bubble into the platform, the higher the demand for collateral. If these developers want to access this capital, then they're going to need to be able to provide collateral, either by buying those EMP on the open market or through borrowing it or renting it from our community through the sale of collateral NFTs. So the more money we can feed into this side of the funnel, all it does is increases the demand of EMP for collateral. As more EMP is demanded for collateral and locked away into the collateral NFTs and into that side of the equation, it reduces the supply and the tokenomics can start to take care of themselves, and hopefully we see an appreciation of the token price. So we're very, very, very focused, almost exclusively focused on driving investment at this stage, because we know the more capital that can come in here, besides the fact that we can support more developers and impact more families, we also ensure that the tokenomics of supply and demand are favorable for the EMP token. Again, thank you for the questions that have been sent through on the Q60 hashtag. If you would like to see any other questions answered, please direct them to us on X or on Telegram or on Discord using that hashtag. We collate them, and from time to time we'll go through and answer the questions that are most relevant. Thank you again. Thanks for your support, and looking forward to a very exciting 2026 based on all the conversations we've been having.